Hey guys, welcome back to Sleeping Stone Whispers. Tonight, we're taking you on a slow, calming journey to a village that slept at exactly 9 o'clock, where every street, every house, and every villager moves gently, peacefully, and predictably, perfect for relaxing your mind. So, if you're ready to drift into a world of quiet, gentle rhythms, settle in, and let the village lull you to sleep. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more soothing stories that help you unwind. The village lay wrapped in a gentle, silvery mist as the first pale light of morning stretched across the rooftops. Everything seemed soft, muted, and delicate, the way a quiet breath lingers in a room before anyone speaks. The roofs glistened faintly, touched with droplets that had collected during the night, and the cobblestone streets shone in the diffused light, though no one yet walked upon them. The air smelled faintly of damp earth, of grass that had grown overnight, and of the faint, sweet scent of the village bakery preparing for the day ahead. Even at this early hour, there was a sense of unhurried rhythm to the village. Smoke rose in thin wisps from a few chimneys, curling slowly into the mist before vanishing. Somewhere in the distance, a cow lowed softly, but the sound was gentle, far away, and quickly swallowed by the morning haze. The village seemed almost suspended, as if it were still dreaming, reluctant to leave the quiet embrace of night. A few windows opened lazily, one by one, letting in the first warm light of day. The shutters moved with a soft creak, and a faint breeze passed through the small cracks, stirring the curtains just enough to cast slow, wavering shadows on the floors. Inside, villagers stirred. Not abruptly or hurriedly, but gradually, like the careful unfolding of a leaf. Old Mrs. Hamill rose from her bed with a quiet groan, her slippers barely making a sound as she padded across the wooden floor. In another house, young Tobias yawned twice before finally pulling back his covers, letting the warmth of the bed go reluctantly. Outside, the mist thickened near the river that ran at the edge of the village. Its surface was so calm that it reflected the light as though it were glass, broken only by the occasional ripple of a fish or the gentle fall of a leaf. The villagers often liked to walk near the river at this hour, but not yet. For now, all was still. Even the birds moved carefully, stepping lightly on the dew-covered grass, as if the village's quiet commanded them to tread slowly. The bakery door opened with a soft creak, letting out a warm aroma of bread slowly rising. Mr. Lowry, the baker, worked in careful silence, kneading dough with deliberate, gentle motions. The faint tapping of his wooden spoon against the mixing bowl echoed softly, blending seamlessly with the sounds of the village slowly waking. Outside, the faint clatter of shutters, the distant creak of a cartwheel, and the low hum of the wind through the trees formed a kind of melody, not hurried, not exciting, just steady, calm, and unchanging. It was in this stillness, this soft, deliberate pace of life, that the village held its charm. Everything had a proper place, a gentle rhythm, a slow unfolding of events that never hurried. Even the animals seemed to understand. The village cat stretched on the doorstep, blinking slowly, then padded softly across the misty street, tail high, not rushing, not startling anyone. The chickens pecked quietly, their clucks soft and measured. The occasional dog barked once, and then waited, listening, as if even it knew the village preferred patience. And above it all, the mist lingered, holding the village in a quiet embrace, whispering in silence. Every villager, every animal, every building seemed to breathe together in unison with the soft fog, a world of gentle movements and subtle sounds, all blending into the slow awakening of the day. There was no hurry. There was no rush. There was only the soft, measured rhythm of life, moving deliberately toward the inevitable, comforting conclusion of the evening, sleep. In this village, mornings were not exciting or loud. They did not call for adventure or work to be done in haste. They existed to be felt slowly, like the gentle touch of a hand on a warm surface, or the soft sound of wind passing through leaves. And so, as the mist gradually lifted and the sun rose a little higher, the village began another day in its own quiet, unhurried way, unaware that exactly 9 o'clock would soon come, when every window would close, every light would dim, and every soul would surrender to rest. The village had just begun to stir when a single sound floated over the rooftops, soft yet certain, a rooster's gentle crow. Not the urgent, loud cry that demanded attention, but a calm, measured call that seemed to drift lazily through the morning air. It marked the passing of time in the village, as it always had, a subtle reminder that the day had begun, but there was no need to hurry. In a small yard near the center of the village, the rooster stretched his wings and ruffled his feathers. He did not crow repeatedly, as roosters elsewhere might. He crowed once, softly, and then paused, surveying the empty streets. The chickens around him stirred slowly, stretching their legs, preening their feathers, and pecking quietly at the scattered grains on the ground. The rhythm of the yard was slow, steady, like the ticking of an unseen clock, one measured beat following another without urgency. From the nearby cottages, shutters opened gradually. A faint scent of porridge and freshly baked bread drifted through the air, mingling with the cool morning mist that still lingered in the corners of the village. Inside, villagers moved deliberately. Mr. Henley, the carpenter, rubbed his eyes before stretching his arms above his head. He yawned once, a long, soft yawn, and then walked slowly to the window, pausing to watch the rooster strut in his yard below. Even the children noticed the sound, though they did not rush. Little Clara stepped out onto the porch, slippers silent against the worn wood, and listened. Her hair fell into her eyes, and she brushed it back with the back of her hand, careful not to disturb the stillness around her. She watched the rooster's movements with quiet fascination, absorbing the simple, unhurried life around her. Across the street, Tobias sat on the doorstep, yawning again and rubbing his eyes, hardly aware that he had been awake for several minutes already. The streets were almost empty. Occasionally, the soft clatter of a cart moving slowly over cobblestones could be heard, but it was gentle, almost polite in its intrusion on the peaceful morning. The blacksmith, Mr. Dalloway, was already outside, tending to his forge, but he moved with care, not rushing, letting each hammer strike fall with a deliberate pause in between. Sparks danced briefly in the sunlight, but they did not startle the rooster, nor did they disrupt the measured rhythm of the village waking. Birdsong accompanied the rooster's gentle crow, soft and sparse. Sparrows chirped high in the branches of the old oak, and a few doves cooed from the rooftops. The sounds mingled with the faint rustling of leaves in the morning breeze. Everything in the village seemed to listen, moving slowly, with purpose yet without haste. Even the river at the edge of the village mirrored this calm. Its waters flowed steadily, reflecting the pale sunlight, broken only by a gentle ripple as a fish passed beneath the surface. By now, more windows were open. Curtains swayed slightly in the soft wind, casting delicate patterns on the walls inside. Families began to appear in doorways and yards, but they did so gradually, without rushing. Mothers called softly to children, who answered in half whispers, their voices blending into the gentle hum of daily life. The rooster crowed again, this time once more, but still with the same gentle, unhurried quality, as though he understood the quiet pace of the village and wished only to mark the time, not to demand it. Even the sun seemed aware of the rhythm. It rose higher, spilling golden light across the rooftops and streets, but it did not push too hard or too fast. Its warmth crept slowly over the village, touching one rooftop at a time, illuminating the cobblestones gradually, as if following the pace of each villager's slow movements. And so, the morning continued, guided by the rooster's gentle crow. Nothing hurried. Nothing was urgent. Every sound, every movement, every breath, was measured, deliberate, and calm. In this village, mornings existed to be savored slowly, to be experienced in quiet detail, like the soft turning of a page in an old book. And as the day stretched gently ahead, the villagers knew, without needing to speak, that everything would continue in its unhurried way until the evening came, and the village would sleep at exactly 9 o'clock, as it always did. Inside the village houses, the soft glow of morning light filtered through curtains, painting pale rectangles on the wooden floors. The rooms were quiet, save for the occasional creak of a floorboard or the gentle sigh of someone stretching. Slowly, deliberately, the villagers stirred from sleep, each movement measured, unhurried, as if the day had no need to hurry them along. Old Mrs. Hamill opened her eyes first, blinking against the soft light. She lay for a moment longer, feeling the warmth of her blanket and listening to the faint hum of the village outside. The gentle crow of the rooster had already passed, and the distant clatter of Mr. Lowry's bakery tools reached her ears as if through a soft fog. With a long, careful stretch, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and planted her slippers on the floor. Her movements were slow but purposeful, each step deliberate, as though hurrying would disturb the village itself. In the next house, young Tobias stirred in much the same way. He rolled onto his side, rubbed his eyes with the backs of his hands, and then pushed the covers aside. He lay for a moment on the edge of the bed, listening to the muted sounds of the morning. There was a calmness in the air that made the act of waking feel gentle, almost ceremonial. Slowly, he swung his legs over the side of the bed, his toes brushing the cool wooden floor, and sat for a moment before standing, his movements as soft and measured as the rising sun outside. Elsewhere, the household of the blacksmith was waking in its own quiet way. His wife, Lydia, pulled back the curtains and looked out at the slowly brightening streets. The morning mist lingered still in corners, and the river reflected the pale light in a manner that seemed almost dreamlike. She listened to the faint, rhythmic sounds of the village, the rooster crowing again, the soft clatter of carts on cobblestones, the whispering of leaves in the breeze, and moved through her morning chores at a pace that matched the world outside, slow, deliberate, and calm. Even the children of the village embraced the slow rhythm of awakening. Clara stretched in her bed, her limbs reaching toward the soft morning light that filtered through her window. She yawned once, twice, feeling the lingering warmth of sleep dissolve gently into consciousness. Her footsteps were light as she padded across the floor, careful not to disturb the quiet stillness that filled the house. Outside, she would soon see the chickens pecking in the yard, the cat stretching on the doorstep, and her neighbors moving through their own gentle routines, each person's movements harmonizing with the others in a delicate, unhurried dance. The villagers did not speak loudly in these early hours. Words were whispered or unspoken, carried softly through the rooms or across the yards. The air itself seemed to hold a sense of patience, of quiet observation. Even the pets understood the pace, dogs stretched languidly, cats yawned and padded softly, and birds hopped from branch to branch without urgency. Each element of the village moved in its own rhythm, yet together they created a harmony of calm, a lullaby of everyday life. Breakfast was prepared slowly. Porridge was stirred with measured motions, bread was sliced carefully, tea poured with a gentle hand. Windows remained open, allowing the morning air to drift in, carrying with it the sense of damp earth, fresh dough, and soft, sun-warmed wood. Villagers spoke softly to one another, the sound of voices low and soothing, blending with the ambient hum of the awakening day. And so, the village continued its morning, with each resident slowly, deliberately rising from sleep, moving in gentle synchrony with one another. There was no rush, no sense of urgency. Each step, each stretch, each breath seemed to honor the rhythm of life that had existed for generations. The world outside could wait. Here, in this village, the morning was experienced fully, slowly, with care. As the sun rose higher, touching the rooftops with soft golden light, the villagers moved about their homes with calm efficiency, aware only that the day had begun and that, as always, the slow, comforting routine would carry them gently toward the evening, and ultimately toward the inevitable peace of sleep at exactly 9 o'clock. The morning unfolded slowly, each moment stretching softly across the village like a gentle sigh. Inside the homes, the day's first tasks began, carried out with quiet care. Breakfast was a simple affair, but in this village, simplicity was an art, and every step was performed with deliberate attention to calm, comforting motions. In Mrs. Hamill's kitchen, a small fire glowed faintly in the hearth, its warmth creeping slowly across the stone floor. She stirred a pot of porridge, moving the wooden spoon in smooth, measured circles. The gentle aroma of oats and milk filled the air, mingling with the faint scent of bread cooling on a nearby counter. She hummed softly, a tune so quiet it seemed almost to be a whisper, perfectly matching the rhythm of the day. Across the street, the Lowrys prepared their breakfast in much the same careful manner. Mr. Lowry slid slices of bread onto a wooden platter, the knife making a soft, deliberate sound against the cutting board. His wife, Eliza, poured tea into cups, the liquid moving slowly, almost meditatively, as if each drop were part of a quiet ritual. Their young son, Samuel, sat at the table, slowly spreading butter on his bread, taking small, unhurried bites, enjoying the textures and flavors as though time itself had slowed to allow him this simple pleasure. The village kitchens were not filled with clamor or noise. Instead, sounds were soft, measured, and soothing. The occasional clink of a spoon against a bowl, the gentle scrape of a knife across a board, and the faint hiss of a kettle were the only interruptions in the calm. Outside, the mist lingered in patches, softening the edges of rooftops and trees, and filtering the pale sunlight that moved lazily across the streets. Even the village cats seemed aware of the subdued atmosphere, weaving silently between legs and chairs, their movements gentle and unhurried. At the baker's, the routine was equally deliberate. Dough had been set aside the night before, resting slowly, quietly, while the village slept. Now, Mr. Lowry kneaded it with patient, measured strokes, feeling the texture change under his hands. The scent of yeast and flour blended with the faint morning mist drifting through the open door, creating a quiet harmony of smells that seemed to lull the house into its own slow rhythm. Outside, villagers passed by slowly, exchanging brief nods or soft, good mornings, their steps careful and deliberate on the dew-dampened cobblestones. Even the simplest details of breakfast were observed with gentle attention. The slicing of fruit, the cracking of eggs into a pan, the stirring of porridge, every sound, every movement, was soft, soothing, and intentional. The villagers did not rush, did not hurry, there was no need. The day itself had no urgency, only the promise of quiet routines and a steady progression toward evening, when the village would settle once more into the comfort of sleep at exactly 9 o'clock. Children moved with the same unhurried care as the adults. Clara carried a small plate to the table, stepping lightly across the wooden floor, careful not to disturb the quiet. Tobias sipped slowly from his cup of tea, feeling the warmth spread through his hands and chest. Every action was deliberate, almost ceremonial, a slow dance of morning tasks that became part of the gentle rhythm of the village. By the time breakfast was finished, the sun had risen higher, spilling a pale, golden light across rooftops and streets. The aroma of food lingered, blending softly with the scent of morning air and the faint fragrance of flowers in garden beds. Outside, the village moved steadily forward, each person attending to their chores with quiet care, every motion harmonizing with the others, creating a gentle symphony of slow, unhurried life. And so, breakfast became more than a meal. It became a quiet ceremony of presence, a mindful acknowledgement of the day slowly unfolding. The village had awakened, not with haste or noise, but with patience and gentle attention, preparing itself, its people, and its animals for the long, calm day ahead, leading inevitably toward the comfort and certainty of the evening, when sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. As the village fully awakened, the streets filled with the faintest sound of movement. The footsteps of the villagers were soft, careful, and deliberate, blending with the gentle hum of morning life. Each step seemed to honor the quiet of the village, as though hurrying or loud noises might disturb the rhythm that had been carried for generations. Old Mr. Hamel walked down the narrow cobblestone lane, his slippers barely making a sound against the stones. He paused occasionally, glancing at the rooftops or the trees, observing how the morning light filtered through the leaves. Even his movements were slow, measured, as though he were not simply walking to the bakery but performing a ritual of careful observation and unhurried presence. The soft creak of his joints blended seamlessly with the gentle rustling of leaves above. Across the way, children emerged from their homes with tiny, careful steps. Clara and Tobias moved slowly, almost tiptoeing, their feet touching the ground lightly as they made their way toward the village square. They carried small baskets of bread from their homes, careful not to jostle the loaves inside. Their whispers, soft and brief, barely disturbed the calm morning. Even when a small bird startled and flitted into the air, the children paused for a moment, watching quietly, before continuing their slow journey. The streets themselves seemed to encourage this gentleness. The cobblestones, worn smooth over decades, reflected the pale sunlight with a muted shine. Mist still lingered in some corners, softening edges, muting sounds, and giving every movement a hushed quality. A cart rolled slowly down the street, its wheels creaking just enough to add a faint rhythm to the ambient quiet. The driver moved deliberately, stopping occasionally to greet a neighbor with a nod or a soft wave, never raising his voice, never hurrying. Even the animals moved with care. The village dog padded alongside the baker, tail wagging slowly, ears alert but unexcited. Cats weaved through the narrow paths, stepping softly over damp patches of grass, pausing to sniff at the morning air. Chickens clucked in the yards but did not rush. All around, movement was gentle, a choreography of unhurried life, perfectly in tune with the village's quiet heartbeat. The villagers themselves were aware of the sound their footsteps made. Each step was chosen, controlled, as if to avoid disturbing the stillness that hung over the streets. They moved in harmony, each individual's pace complementing the others. Even strangers passing through the village slowed instinctively, adjusting their own rhythm to match the gentle flow that had been set long ago. Every person, animal, and sound contributed to a delicate balance, a peaceful energy that seemed to rise and fall with the soft morning light. Through it all, the village square remained calm. A few benches sat in the shadows of the old oak tree, waiting quietly for those who might wish to rest. The fountain in the center trickled slowly, the water's soft burble blending with the footsteps, birdsong, and rustling leaves. Villagers passed through the square in measured steps, their movements deliberate yet natural, neither forced nor hasty, each footfall a small contribution to the village's subtle, harmonious rhythm. Even the smallest details mattered. The shuffle of a slipper across a doorstep, the gentle scrape of a cart against a stone, the soft patter of a child's steps, each sound was acknowledged, absorbed, and folded into the calm of the morning. There was no rush. There was no urgency. There was only the slow, steady pulse of life in a village that moved carefully, as though aware that every sound, every motion, was a part of a living, breathing lullaby. And as the morning continued, the soft footsteps of villagers carried them slowly toward the day's next tasks. Chores would be done, bread would be baked, animals tended, and the village would continue its gentle flow. Everything moved with patient deliberation, knowing that, in this village, the day would conclude with the same comforting certainty as always: every house, every street, every soul would sleep at exactly 9 o'clock. As the village settled into the gentle rhythm of morning, the soft sound of shutters creaking and windows swinging open became a part of the calm symphony of life. Each house, slowly awakening, revealed its occupants peering into the world outside, taking in the soft light, the lingering mist, and the quiet streets. The simple act of opening a window was more than routine, it was a gentle acknowledgement of the day's slow arrival. In the Hamill household, Mrs. Hamill reached for the latch of her window, her hands moving carefully, as though the slightest rush might disturb the serenity outside. The wooden shutters eased open with a soft creak, and she leaned slightly forward to let the cool morning air drift in. It smelled faintly of dew-covered grass and distant river water, tinged with the aroma of bread rising in the nearby bakery. She inhaled slowly, feeling the gentle freshness fill the room, and allowed her eyes to follow the sun's early rays stretching across rooftops and cobblestone lanes. Across the street, Tobias's house mirrored the same unhurried routine. The window slid upward slowly, revealing the village square below. The square was quiet, save for the occasional soft footstep of a villager passing by. Tobias leaned out slightly, feeling the breeze brush his face. He watched the leaves tremble in the branches of the old oak tree, glinting in the gentle sunlight. A soft coo of a pigeon reached his ears, mingling with the distant clatter of a cart, the measured hum of the village coming fully to life. Opening windows was a ritual in the village. It was the first connection to the outside world, but never abrupt, never hurried. Each movement was deliberate, each sound folded gently into the morning's calm. In the baker's home, Eliza opened the windows wide, letting the aromas of the kitchen mingle with the fresh air. Sunlight spilled across the floors, illuminating the faint dust motes that floated lazily in the still air. She breathed deeply, enjoying the quiet beauty of the moment, aware of the rhythm that the village maintained, soft, steady, and unhurried. Even the smallest details mattered. Curtains swayed gently in the breeze, brushing softly against windowsills. The latch of each window clicked softly when secured. A leaf, caught in a sudden gust, fluttered slowly past, unnoticed except by the village children who watched in quiet fascination. Each home, each window, became a portal to the day, allowing light, air, and gentle sounds to filter in, connecting the interior calm with the world outside. In the square, a few villagers paused to take in the sights and sounds. Mrs. Lowry leaned out to watch the river's surface glint in the morning sun. Mr. Henley adjusted his shutters, carefully observing the long shadows stretching across the lane. A cat perched on a windowsill, blinking slowly, its tail curling around its paws, watching the quiet movements below. Even the pigeons seemed to acknowledge the village's pace, hopping delicately across rooftops without rush, settling on chimneys as if they, too, were participants in the gentle morning ritual. By mid-morning, almost every window had been opened. Light filtered into rooms that had been dark and still moments before, carrying with it the sounds of distant laughter, the soft clatter of dishes, and the subtle rustling of leaves. The village seemed alive without ever needing to raise its voice, its residents synchronized in a harmony of slow, deliberate movements. The rhythm was comforting, predictable, and unhurried, as though the village itself had conspired to create a world where calm reigned supreme. Even the sun moved deliberately, spilling golden rays that touched rooftops and garden walls in a slow, steady progression. Every house, every street, every corner of the village absorbed the light and warmth, preparing for the day's gentle unfolding. Windows were open, hearts and minds were awake, yet the pace remained tranquil. Nothing was rushed, nothing forced. The village existed in a delicate balance of soft sights, muted sounds, and measured movements, each element blending seamlessly into the next. And so, with each window opened, the village embraced the day. The streets, the rooftops, the gardens, and the river beyond seemed to exhale slowly, settling into the soft rhythm that guided every footstep, every breath, and every thought. Life moved gently here, knowing, as it always had, that the day would pass in careful progression, leading inevitably toward the evening, when the village would close its shutters, dim its lights, and sleep at exactly 9 o'clock. Along the gentle curve of the river at the edge of the village, morning chores began in a deliberate, unhurried fashion. The villagers moved slowly, their feet soft against the damp grass and cobblestones, each action carefully measured, as though the river itself dictated the rhythm of the day. The water flowed steadily, reflecting the pale sunlight and the lingering mist, its surface disturbed only by occasional ripples or a small fish breaking the calm. Old Mr. Henley carried buckets of water from the river to his garden, placing each one carefully on the ground before tipping it slowly over the soil. The sound of water splashing was soft, almost musical, blending with the gentle murmur of the river and the faint rustling of leaves above. Each movement was deliberate, he did not rush, for there was no need to hurry. The garden would be watered, the soil would drink slowly, and the rhythm of the river would continue without interruption. Nearby, Mrs. Lowry washed freshly picked vegetables by the riverbank. She moved the produce gently through the cool water, letting each leaf and stalk be caressed by the flowing current. Occasionally, she would pause, listening to the soft hum of the village behind her, watching a bird dip its wings briefly in the water, or observing a ripple as a leaf floated downstream. Each task was slow and purposeful, a quiet acknowledgement of the day's beginning, performed without haste. Children, too, were present at the river, though their movements mirrored the village's unhurried style. Clara and Tobias carried small baskets of laundry, dipping each cloth into the cool water and swirling it gently. They giggled softly, careful not to make too much noise, and worked together in quiet harmony. The river became a partner in their morning chores, its gentle current guiding the water over fabric and hands, lending a calm consistency to each motion. Even the animals seemed to participate in this gentle ritual. Ducks floated lazily downstream, paddling softly, quacking only occasionally, in measured tones. A cat perched on the riverbank, tail curled neatly around its paws, watching the children with slow blinking eyes. Dogs padded near the edge of the water, sniffing at reeds and grass, their movements cautious and unhurried. Every creature seemed aware of the village's rhythm, respecting the quiet flow of morning life along the river. The river itself carried a soothing, hypnotic melody. Water lapped softly against stones, occasionally sending a tiny splash upward, only to settle quickly into calm again. Birds in nearby trees called out with gentle notes, their songs blending seamlessly with the rustling reeds and the faint creak of a cart while passing along the distant cobblestones. The combination of sounds created a subtle lullaby, steady and continuous, inviting patience and stillness in all who listened. Villagers moved from one task to another along the riverbank without hurry. Washing, fetching water, tending animals, and collecting reeds for the evening's fires, all chores were completed with deliberate care. Each step, each gesture, was performed slowly, honoring the soft tempo of the day. There was no need to finish quickly, no pressure to accomplish more than could be done in measured motions. Even the sunlight seemed to pause, sliding gradually across the water's surface, illuminating one ripple at a time, bathing the village in gentle warmth. By mid-morning, the riverbank had become a quiet mosaic of slow movement. The villagers returned to their homes carrying water, baskets of vegetables, or bundles of reeds, each step careful and soft, as though to preserve the serenity that morning had brought. The river continued its patient flow, reflecting the sky and the rooftops in a steady, unhurried manner. Its presence reminded everyone that life in the village had its own pace, one that was gentle, deliberate, and deeply comforting. And so, with the morning chores by the river completed slowly and thoughtfully, the village continued on its unhurried path. The day stretched ahead, measured, predictable, and calm, leading toward the inevitable evening when every house, every street, and every soul would prepare for rest. The river, like the village itself, carried on in steady serenity, and all who lived there knew that, in this place, sleep would come at exactly 9 o'clock. The river, now fully visible in the morning light, moved with a gentle, steady rhythm that seemed almost deliberate. Its surface shimmered softly, reflecting the pale sun in long, golden streaks that danced lazily with each ripple. The villagers, now familiar with this gentle flow, often paused at its edge simply to listen. The sound of water flowing over stones and around reeds became a constant, comforting hum, as soft as a lullaby, blending seamlessly with the quiet movements of the village. Old Mr. Henley stood at the river's edge, leaning on the handle of his bucket, and allowed himself to take a slow, deep breath. The water lapped quietly against the stones, carrying small ripples downstream. He watched as a fallen leaf drifted gently on the surface, spinning slowly with the current. The simplicity of this motion, so ordinary and yet so deliberate, drew his attention in a way that made time seem to stretch, softening the edges of his morning. Nearby, children played at the riverbank, but even their play followed the village's gentle rhythm. Clara dipped her fingers into the cool water and let them trail slowly across its surface, creating small concentric ripples that expanded outward before fading. Tobias tossed a small pebble, careful not to make a loud splash, and watched as it barely disturbed the calm. Even in movement, everything remained soft, measured, and hypnotic. Each sound, each motion, was absorbed into the river's natural, steady melody. The animals of the village mirrored this tranquility. Ducks floated with the current, occasionally dipping their heads below the surface, their ripples soft and gradual. A cat stretched on a nearby rock, blinking slowly at the water, tail curling gently around its paws. A dog padded through the reeds, its steps careful, the sound muffled by the soft mud along the riverbank. Every creature, conscious or unconscious of it, seemed to follow the same rhythm, moving in harmony with the constant, calming flow of the river. Even the wind, which drifted across the village in quiet gusts, joined the rhythm. It whispered through the reeds and along the riverbanks, rustling the leaves softly, creating a gentle percussion that complemented the steady sound of flowing water. The sunlight, too, seemed to move deliberately, sliding across the water in slow, glimmering trails, touching rocks, reeds, and rooftops as if counting time itself. Everything was part of the same subtle, deliberate choreography. Villagers returned occasionally to tend small tasks along the river, washing vegetables, fetching water, checking nets, but they moved in quiet, purposeful ways. Each action was slow, considerate, and harmonious with the overall rhythm. Even conversations were whispers, brief exchanges of words that added to the quiet symphony rather than breaking it. The river remained the central focus, its gentle, repetitive sound both grounding and soothing. There were no sudden disturbances, no rush to leave or arrive. The river carried everything forward naturally, deliberately, without force or hurry. Each ripple and current seemed to remind the villagers that life, at its best, needed no hurry. Its sound was constant, rhythmic, and predictable, offering a subtle reassurance that the day would proceed steadily, slowly, and comfortably. By mid-morning, the villagers lingered at the river less for chores and more for the calming presence of the water itself. Some rested on the grassy banks, leaning against stones, letting the sound wash over them. Others simply paused, listening and watching the flow, feeling the steady pulse of life in a quiet, meditative way. In this village, the calm sound of water flowing was more than background, it was part of the heartbeat of the day. And so, the river's gentle murmur carried on, blending with the soft movements, whispered conversations, and careful footsteps of the villagers. Everything was in harmony, everything measured and deliberate. Life in this village was slow, steady, and comforting, leading as always toward the evening, when every house, every street, and every soul would settle into rest at exactly 9 o'clock. The village streets, now bathed in the soft, pale light of late morning, seemed almost deserted. Not deserted in the sense of emptiness, but in the way that calm fills a space, leaving it quiet and measured. Cobblestones glimmered faintly where the morning dew still clung, and the faint scent of grass, wood, and distant bread lingered in the air. Anyone walking along these streets would feel the pace of the village slowing time itself. Old Mr. Henley chose to walk through the lanes slowly, taking careful, deliberate steps. Each footfall made only the slightest sound, soft against the worn cobblestones. He paused occasionally to watch the sunlight catch the edges of a roof or to notice a leaf trembling on a branch. Nothing required haste, nothing demanded attention. Even the act of walking became an exercise in quiet awareness, a gentle meditation in motion. A few other villagers wandered along the streets, equally unhurried. Mrs. Lowry carried a basket of laundry, swaying slightly with each step. The children followed a different path, running only enough to move playfully but never disrupting the village's rhythm. Their laughter was low, soft, almost a whisper, blending into the quiet hum of the streets. The village itself seemed to absorb every sound, every movement, folding it into the gentle pulse of its daily life. The houses, each with its shutters partially open, cast soft shadows across the cobblestones. The streets curved gently, revealing small gardens tucked between homes, their flowers nodding slowly in the breeze. A single cat padded along the edge of a wall, tail raised, moving with silent, graceful steps. Even the dogs moved carefully, aware of the calm, their paws pressing softly into the moist earth, adding to the rhythm of subtle sound and quiet motion. Occasionally, a cart would roll slowly down a lane, wheels creaking softly, the driver nodding quietly to passers-by. Its presence did not break the rhythm of the village but added a slow, steady beat to the day's melody. Birds called from treetops, their notes faint and deliberate, mixing with the rustling of leaves and the distant burble of the river. Everything, the steps, the sounds, the light, the air, seemed to conspire to create a serene, hypnotic balance. The streets were narrow, winding, yet each turn revealed small details that rewarded the careful observer. A patch of sunlight caught on a stone wall, a single flower bloomed quietly in a yard, a bird perched for a moment and then took off without urgency. The village was alive in these small, measured ways, each instance unfolding slowly, deliberately, and quietly. The emptiness of the streets was not silence but a space for observation, reflection, and gentle motion. Even the act of walking became a shared ritual. Villagers often nodded to one another, exchanged brief soft words, or paused in quiet acknowledgement of one another's presence. Nothing hurried. There were no long conversations, no urgent errands. Each person moved in harmony with the environment and with the village's rhythm, careful not to disturb the soft, comforting pace that defined life here. By mid-morning, the empty streets had a presence all their own. The gentle sound of footsteps, the faint creak of a shutter, the soft rustle of a bird's wings, and the distant hum of the river all combined to create a slow, steady harmony. Even a casual walk became an exercise in patience, awareness, and quiet enjoyment. Each turn, each step, each breath was a reminder that life in this village existed at its own pace, measured and deliberate. In the quiet streets of the village, conversations were rare, brief, and gentle, fading almost as soon as they began. Villagers spoke softly, careful not to disrupt the delicate rhythm of their surroundings. Words were measured, deliberate, and often accompanied by long pauses, as if every syllable needed to be considered before it floated into the morning air. Mrs. Lowry leaned on her garden gate and greeted Mr. Henley with a soft, "Good morning." His response was equally quiet, a slow nod and a murmured, "Good morning, Mary." The exchange lasted only a few moments, but within those few moments, both felt the calmness of the day settle more fully around them. The conversation had no urgency, no expectation, and yet it was enough. It existed to acknowledge another presence gently, then to dissolve quietly into the stillness that filled the village. In the square, children sometimes exchanged whispered comments as they played. Clara, pointing at a bird perched on a branch, said softly, "Look at how it blinks." Tobias nodded, whispering in response, "It doesn't rush." And then they moved on, absorbed again in their own slow actions, the words lingering in the air like a faint echo before disappearing entirely. Even in speech, the villagers embraced the unhurried pace of life. No topic was pressing, no story was urgent. Every conversation existed only to connect, briefly, before returning to quietude. The villagers' voices blended with the ambient sounds of the morning. The soft murmur of water from the river, the rustling of leaves, the distant creak of a cart, and the gentle steps of those walking the cobblestones formed a subtle symphony. Conversations were woven into this quiet music, brief notes that added texture without breaking the harmony. No one spoke loudly or insisted on attention. Words floated, lingered, and faded naturally, leaving only the calm residue of human presence in their wake. Even within homes, conversations were soft and fleeting. Breakfast had concluded, and families moved through their morning routines with minimal words. A mother might say, "Pass the tea," and a child would respond with a quiet, "Here." That was all. The words carried meaning, yet they were unhurried, absorbed quickly, and left behind only a sense of connection, never noise. Every interaction contributed to the village's hypnotic pace, reinforcing the calm, measured rhythm that defined each day. Sometimes, a visitor passed through the village. Even they seemed to unconsciously adopt the same gentle cadence. A single word spoken in greeting was met with a nod, a soft smile, and then silence. Their presence blended naturally with the quiet streets, the muted colors of rooftops, and the soft sounds of water and wind. Conversations did not linger, and neither did attention. Everything existed in a transient, peaceful way. The fading of words mirrored the fading of light and sound elsewhere. A bird called once, and then its song disappeared. A leaf floated to the ground, and the rustle of its landing quickly stilled. In the same way, a sentence spoken in passing seemed to dissolve, leaving behind only a faint impression in the listener's mind. The village moved forward, one quiet breath at a time, each spoken word adding just enough texture to be acknowledged before slipping gently into the calm. By late morning, the streets, yards, and squares were alive with life, yet conversations remained fleeting, soft, and harmonious with the rhythm of the day. The villagers understood that words were tools to mark connection, not to demand attention or interrupt the flow of calm. Every exchange faded quickly, leaving space for observation, reflection, and the soothing monotony of daily movement. And so, as the day progressed, the quiet words drifted through the village, blending with the sounds of soft footsteps, flowing water, and the occasional creak of wood. Beyond the village, where the cobblestone streets gave way to soft, grassy paths, the distant field stretched quietly under the morning sun. The children wandered slowly through these open spaces, their movements unhurried, their laughter soft and fleeting, blending naturally with the gentle hum of the day. Even play in this village was measured, deliberate, as if the pace of the land itself guided their motions. Clara and Tobias walked side by side along a narrow path, the dew-soaked grass brushing lightly against their ankles. They carried small baskets, though it was unclear whether they were for gathering flowers or simply for the pleasure of holding them. Every step was slow, soft, and careful, leaving tiny impressions in the grass that the morning breeze would soon erase. They whispered to one another occasionally, their voices barely rising above the gentle rustle of leaves and the faint hum of the river in the distance. The fields themselves seemed to encourage this tranquility. Wildflowers nodded in the soft wind, grasses swayed lazily, and the earth beneath was firm but forgiving. A single butterfly drifted through the air, its wings moving slowly, almost contemplatively. Even the birds followed the same gentle rhythm, perching silently on fences or treetops, their brief chirps blending seamlessly with the faint murmur of the river, the distant creak of a cart, and the soft padding of children's feet across the soil. Sometimes, Clara paused to kneel beside a small patch of flowers, examining them with care. She ran her fingers lightly over petals damp with morning dew, inhaling their faint scent before standing slowly again. Tobias wandered toward a low stone wall, carefully balancing along its edge. Each movement was deliberate, mindful, as if rushing would disrupt the serene harmony of the fields. Even the act of exploration was measured, quiet, and deliberate, preserving the calm that stretched across the landscape. Animals moved with the children, though their steps were equally gentle. A dog trotted nearby, ears relaxed, following without urgency. Chickens pecked at seeds along the far edge of the fields, while a small cat padded softly after a butterfly, tail high but movements careful. The children paused to observe each animal, not startling them, listening to the subtle sounds they made. Every motion, every glance, and every whisper became part of the tranquil rhythm that defined both the village and its outskirts. The horizon stretched lazily, the sunlight spilling slowly over hills and fields. Shadows shifted imperceptibly as clouds drifted overhead, painting patches of shade and light across the earth. The children, moving from one small adventure to the next, experienced this passage of time almost imperceptibly, each activity unfolding at the pace dictated by the morning itself. There was no urgency, no rush, only a slow, careful awareness of the world around them. Even the simplest games were performed softly. Tossing a pebble into a small puddle, balancing along a fence, or chasing a drifting leaf became meditative motions, each action extended, considered, and absorbed fully into the present moment. Laughter was rare and muted, a gentle punctuation to their movements rather than a call to attention. In every gesture, the rhythm of the village and the quiet fields continued, guiding them gently toward the inevitable patterns of daily life. By mid-morning, the children had wandered through most of the distant fields. Their slow exploration, their careful steps, and their soft whispers blended seamlessly with the muted sounds of birds, the river, and the soft rustle of leaves. The fields themselves seemed to breathe with the pace of the children, carrying forward a steady, hypnotic harmony. As the morning continued, the sun climbed higher, spilling soft, golden rays over the village. Its light touched the rooftops gently, painting them in pale warmth, as if brushing each surface with a delicate hand. Nothing in the village moved too quickly to escape the sun's careful touch. Every tile, chimney, and windowpane seemed to pause, holding the light, reflecting it slowly, and letting it travel across the streets in measured progression. From her window, Mrs. Hamill watched the sun trace its path over the village. Each moment revealed new patterns of shadow and warmth. The rooftops glowed with subtle hues, some bright, some muted, while the narrow lanes below were partially shaded by the careful alignment of the buildings. She lingered in the window for several long, quiet minutes, absorbing the slow transformation of the village under the sun's gaze. In other homes, windows framed the same warm light. Curtains swayed softly in the morning breeze, letting golden streaks filter in gently. Families moved quietly inside, their activities measured and calm. Breakfast had ended, and now dishes were being cleared slowly, and floors swept with soft, deliberate motions. The light fell on each surface, highlighting every small, ordinary detail, a kettle resting on a counter, a broom leaning gently against a wall, a flower pot catching the sunlight just right. Every object seemed to glow faintly, participating in the quiet, rhythmic pulse of the village. Children, too, noticed the light as they wandered the streets or fields. Clara tilted her face upward, eyes closed for a moment, feeling the warmth on her skin. Tobias followed her lead, letting the sunlight touch his hair and shoulders. Even the animals responded subtly. Cats stretched with eyes half closed, dogs paused to sniff the warm air, and birds fluffed their feathers as the sun drifted across their perches. Every element of life seemed aware of the calm, measured influence of the morning light. Along the river, the sun reflected off the rippling surface in glimmering lines, dancing lazily across the water. Villagers who carried out morning chores noticed the shimmer and allowed themselves a slow pause to watch. A bucket of water set down on the riverbank became a prism, scattering pale reflections onto the cobblestones. Each glance, each observation, was deliberate, conscious, and unhurried. The light touched everything, revealing both beauty and simplicity, and encouraged the villagers to move carefully in its glow. Even the streets themselves seemed more alive under the sun's attention. Roofs gleamed faintly, wooden shutters reflected the warmth, the edges of windows caught soft glints of gold. The air itself seemed imbued with gentle energy, a soft encouragement to continue moving slowly, to notice small details, to appreciate the quiet harmony of the day. Step by step, villagers moved beneath the light, synchronized with its gentle touch, their motions deliberate and rhythmic. By mid-morning, the light had reached almost every corner of the village. Shadows receded gradually, leaving only soft contrasts between sunlit surfaces and the gentle cool of shaded areas. Each rooftop, wall, and path had felt the sun's warmth, and in response, the village seemed to hum with a faint, steady pulse of life. Even without words or deliberate attention, everyone and everything shared in the quiet rhythm. And so, the warm light continued its slow journey, touching rooftops, streets, gardens, and riversides alike. The village lived under this gentle illumination, moving in harmony with it, aware that the day's pace was dictated not by urgency but by patience. Every moment stretched slightly longer, every action became a deliberate choice, and every heart understood the comforting certainty that, when evening fell, the village would rest together, and sleep would come at exactly 9 o'clock. At the center of the village square stood the old oak tree, its wide branches stretching lazily toward the sky. Its presence was as calm and steady as the village itself, a silent witness to countless mornings, afternoons, and evenings. The sun, now higher in the sky, cast a broad, dappled shadow across the square, stretching over cobblestones and benches alike. The shadow moved imperceptibly as the day progressed, a slow, quiet companion to the village's steady rhythm. Children often paused beneath the oak, drawn by its shade. Clara leaned against its rough bark, closing her eyes for a moment, listening to the faint rustle of leaves above her. Tobias sat nearby on a low root, tracing the patterns of shadow on the cobblestones with the tip of his finger. The shifting light created soft shapes on the ground, small rectangles, elongated figures, and tiny ripples that moved like a slow, gentle dance. Even in play, the children's motions were careful, deliberate, mirroring the unhurried pace of the oak's shadow. Villagers passed by or lingered briefly under the tree, their steps quiet, their conversations softer than whispers. Mrs. Lowry rested her hands on the fence near the square, glancing up at the branches above. She noticed the way the leaves caught the sunlight and swayed in a slow, measured rhythm, as though breathing along with the village. Each shift of the shadow marked a subtle passage of time, a gentle reminder that life here moved without urgency, step by step, moment by moment. Even the animals acknowledged the tree's presence. A cat stretched on a sunlit patch just beyond the shadow, blinking lazily, while a dog trotted past, pausing to sniff the edge of the roots. Birds nested in the branches above, their soft coos barely audible, blending seamlessly with the gentle hum of leaves, the distant river, and the faint creak of a cartwheel. Everything around the oak, from smallest pebble to tallest roof, moved in harmony with its slow, steady rhythm. The square itself seemed to settle into a quiet awareness of the tree's shadow. The light and shade created soft contrasts across the cobblestones, highlighting benches, flower pots, and the occasional basket left by villagers. A breeze rustled the branches gently, sending patches of sunlight dancing across the ground in barely perceptible shifts. Villagers paused occasionally to watch the patterns, letting their attention drift with the movement, feeling a calmness settle deeper in their chests. Even small details felt meaningful beneath the oak. A fallen leaf lay in the shade, its edges catching the light as it shifted slightly in the breeze. A child's toy, forgotten near a root, became a small focus of quiet observation. The villagers' footsteps, the faint hum of daily chores, and the soft whispers of conversations all mixed with the tree's shadow and the sunlight, creating a hypnotic blend of motion and stillness. Everything moved, yet nothing hurried. By late morning, the shadow had shifted slowly across the square, touching different corners of the cobblestones and benches. Every villager who passed beneath it adjusted instinctively, moving carefully, pausing for a moment, acknowledging the subtle passage of time. The oak tree, ancient and patient, seemed to orchestrate the pace of life around it, reminding everyone that there was no need to rush. And so, the old oak tree stood quietly, its shadow stretching and shifting with the sun, encompassing the village in its calm presence. The square remained peaceful, alive with soft motion and gentle observation. Every footstep, every whisper, every glance moved in harmony with the tree's steady rhythm, carrying the village naturally toward the evening, toward the familiar, comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. As the sun climbed steadily into the sky, the villagers began to turn their attention to midday meals. In every home, the preparation was deliberate and slow, a gentle continuation of the rhythm that had carried the village through the morning. Pots were stirred softly, knives moved carefully across cutting boards, and ingredients were measured with quiet care. There was no rush, only patience, as each villager allowed the process itself to unfold naturally. In the Hamill household, Mrs. Hamill moved across the kitchen with measured steps. She sliced vegetables slowly, noting the textures and colors, feeling the weight of the knife in her hand. The sound of it against the cutting board was soft, rhythmic, and almost meditative. She hummed lightly as she worked, the notes barely audible, blending with the faint ticking of the old clock on the wall. Every motion was intentional, every breath deliberate, part of the calm flow of the day. Across the street, the lorries prepared their midday meal in a similar unhurried fashion. Eliza washed greens in a bowl of cool water, swishing them gently and observing how the leaves floated and shifted. Mr. Lowry stirred a pot of stew, moving the wooden spoon in slow circles, listening to the faint bubbling as it simmered. Their children, Samuel and Clara, carried small plates to the table, careful not to spill or make sudden noise. Even the act of setting the table became a mindful ritual, with every plate, cup, and utensil placed with deliberate care. The scent of food filled the homes gradually, soft and comforting. Steam rose from pots in gentle clouds, curling lazily toward open windows. Outside, the village absorbed the subtle aromas, fresh bread from the bakery, roasted vegetables, and simmering stews blending into a faint, harmonious perfume that touched each passing villager. Even those not preparing meals could sense the calm energy that emanated from the kitchens, a gentle reminder of the village's slow rhythm. Animals participated quietly as well. Cats brushed against legs in hope of scraps, moving softly, while dogs lay near hearths, resting in the warmth of the sunlit floors. Birds perched nearby windows, their calls brief and measured. Every living thing seemed aware of the gentle tempo of the village, acting in harmony with the deliberate pace of meal preparation. Even small details mattered. A drop of water on the counter was left to evaporate naturally, a leaf from the garden that fell through an open window was noted but left undisturbed, and the sound of the spoon against the pot was allowed to carry its soft rhythm throughout the room. Every element of the midday meal became an exercise in mindfulness, a quiet meditation that required patience, observation, and gentle attention. By mid-morning, the meals were ready, presented simply on tables, each dish laid out with care. Villagers moved slowly to their places, carrying bowls, cups, and plates without hurry. They ate quietly, savoring every bite, aware of the textures and temperatures, listening to the soft hum of the village outside, and feeling the warmth of the sun filtering through windows. Conversation was minimal, words soft and fleeting, fading as quickly as they were spoken, allowing the rhythm of the meal to remain uninterrupted. And so, the midday meals were completed slowly and thoughtfully, marking another gentle milestone in the village's day. There was no rush, no pressure to finish quickly. The act of preparing, serving, and consuming the food was itself a form of meditation, a quiet acknowledgement of life's simple pleasures. Every motion, every sound, every taste moved in harmony with the village's pace, leading inevitably toward the afternoon and the comforting certainty that, as always, sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. By early afternoon, the village square had settled into a profound calm. The bustle of morning chores and midday meals had slowed, leaving the wide open space mostly empty and quiet. Cobblestones glimmered faintly under the warm sun, and the shadows of buildings and the old oak tree stretched lazily across the square, moving imperceptibly with the gentle shift of sunlight. Occasionally, a villager passed through, their steps soft and deliberate, barely disturbing the stillness. Mrs. Lowry walked slowly to the fountain at the center of the square, pausing to dip a hand into the cool, flowing water. The faint splash mingled with the distant hum of the river, the rustle of leaves above, and the occasional soft coo of a pigeon. Each sound was small, fleeting, and absorbed immediately by the pervasive calm that filled the square. The old oak tree stood sentinel, its branches swaying gently in the soft breeze. The shadow beneath it moved gradually, almost imperceptibly, stretching across benches, stones, and cobblestones. Children sometimes wandered near, but their play was quiet, whispered, and slow, as if even their energy was tempered by the square's atmosphere. They traced patterns in the dust, watched sunlight dance across stone, and paused to observe drifting leaves without urgency or expectation. Benches along the edges of the square remained mostly empty, though a few villagers lingered, enjoying a quiet pause. They sat with hands folded or resting on their laps, occasionally adjusting their posture with deliberate care. Conversations, when they occurred, were brief and soft, fading almost as soon as the words were spoken. Even the simple act of sitting became meditative, a way of participating in the village's gentle rhythm without interrupting it. The fountain at the center bubbled steadily, its motion constant and soothing. Water flowed over the stone edges in small, rhythmic streams, creating a soft, hypnotic sound that complemented the quiet of the square. Birds perched nearby, their calls faint, adding a delicate accent to the ongoing murmur. Even the sunlight seemed attentive, shifting slowly across the cobblestones and illuminating textures, cracks, and small details that might otherwise go unnoticed. Every element of the square contributed to its calm. Potted flowers along the edges swayed lightly in the breeze, their petals catching glimmers of sunlight. A stray leaf floated across the cobblestones, settling slowly and finally coming to rest. A cat padded silently across a shaded patch, tail high, ears twitching, before curling up on the warm stone. Everything moved, but nothing rushed. Silence was not emptiness. It was a careful, deliberate balance, filled with small, mindful motions that sustained the village's tranquil heartbeat. Even the air seemed different in the square. It carried the faint aromas of midday meals lingering from nearby homes, the subtle scent of grass from small garden patches, and the warmth of sun-heated stone. Each breath, each exhalation, mingled with the village's atmosphere, enhancing the sensation of stillness and calm. Villagers inhaled slowly and exhaled deliberately, absorbing the gentle harmony and letting it seep into their bones. As the afternoon progressed, the square remained a place of quiet observation and reflection. Steps were careful, voices were muted, and even the tiniest details, fluttering leaves, shifting shadows, the soft trickle of water, were noticed and appreciated. Life continued, measured and deliberate, but the square itself seemed to exist in a world apart, a place where calm reigned supreme, and the passage of time was as gentle as a sigh. In a quiet corner of the village square, a cat lay stretched out on a sunlit patch of cobblestones. Its fur glimmered softly in the warm afternoon light, shifting between golden and gray with every subtle movement. The cat's eyes were half closed, pupils narrow, and it breathed slowly and evenly, as if the gentle warmth of the sun had become a lullaby in itself. Villagers passed by, stepping carefully around the lounging cat, their footsteps soft and deliberate. Even the children tiptoed near it, curious but respectful, observing how it occasionally twitched an ear or flicked a tail without disturbing the calm. The cat remained still for long stretches, every motion measured and unhurried, perfectly in tune with the rhythm of the village. From its vantage point, the cat seemed to absorb the day's gentle pace. A leaf floated across the square and landed nearby, the cat's tail lifted slightly, then dropped again. A bird hopped along the edge of the fountain, its movements slow and careful, and the cat watched with mild interest, eyes following the subtle rhythm of the bird's tiny steps. Every motion around it was absorbed quietly, almost meditatively, into the cat's tranquil presence. Nearby, villagers paused to watch the cat, letting its calmness influence their own pace. Mrs. Lowry leaned on a gate, observing how the sunlight warmed the cobblestones around the feline. Tobias traced the cat's slow blink with his finger, imagining the gentle rise and fall of its breath. Even in stillness, the cat contributed to the village's hypnotic rhythm, a small embodiment of patience and quiet reflection. The sun shifted slowly, causing the cat to adjust its position just slightly, curling one paw under its body or stretching a hind leg further into the warmth. Its tail flicked occasionally, brushing gently against the cobblestones, producing only the faintest whisper of movement. Everything about the cat's behavior was deliberate, unhurried, and soft, a perfect mirror of the village's own unspoken rules for motion and presence. Around the square, small sounds continued their gentle cadence. The fountain trickled softly, birds called faintly, and leaves rustled in the slow afternoon breeze. Each sound blended with the cat's quiet breathing, the subtle flick of its tail, and the gentle warmth of the sun, creating a serene, hypnotic environment. Every element seemed to exist solely to support the village's calm, measured pace. Even the smallest details mattered. Dust motes danced lazily in the sunbeams, unnoticed except by the patient observer. A tiny pebble rolled slightly, nudged by the soft wind. The cat's fur shimmered with subtle changes in light and shadow. Each subtle change, each slight movement, was part of a slow, continuous meditation on quietness, rhythm, and gentle awareness. By mid-afternoon, the cat had become almost an icon of calm in the village. Villagers instinctively moved more carefully around it, unconsciously slowing their pace, letting the feline serenity guide their own motions. Children sat nearby, watching the sunlight shift across the cobblestones and the cat's body, feeling a subtle reassurance in the slow passage of time. Even the air seemed infused with the warmth and steadiness of the sun, carrying the faint scent of stone, grass, and afternoon light. And so, the cat continued to lounge in the sun, a living emblem of the village's hypnotic rhythm. Every blink, every stretch, every quiet breath reflected the unhurried pace that defined life in this place. The square remained peaceful, filled with soft movement, faint sounds, and the gentle influence of the sun. And as always, all of these slow, deliberate motions would eventually lead the village toward evening and the comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. As the afternoon deepened, a soft, constant hum filled the village air. It came from the bees, industrious yet unhurried, drifting from flower to flower in the gardens and window boxes that dotted the streets. Their wings moved quickly, but their presence was gentle, almost hypnotic, adding a delicate rhythm to the soft murmur of the village. Clara and Tobias wandered slowly along a narrow garden path, noticing the bees hovering near the blooms. They paused, watching the tiny creatures dip into petals and gather nectar, careful not to disturb them. Each bee moved with purpose but without haste, and the children mirrored their pace, taking careful, quiet steps that allowed them to observe fully. The gentle hum blended with the rustling leaves, distant river, and faint creak of shutters, creating a steady, calming background melody. In Mrs. Lowry's garden, clusters of flowers were alive with bees, each one moving deliberately from bloom to bloom. She leaned on the wooden fence and listened, feeling the vibrations in the air. The sound was constant but not intrusive, it was soft, warm, and steady, like a subtle heartbeat that reminded her of the slow rhythm of the village day. Even the slightest motion, the brushing of a leaf, the flutter of a butterfly's wings, was absorbed into the village's quiet symphony. The cat lounging in the sun shifted slightly, ears twitching in response to the faint hum. Its eyes, half closed, followed the slow dance of bees across the square. Dogs padded softly near the garden, sniffing gently at the flowers and stepping carefully so as not to disturb the delicate balance of life. Birds hopped along the fences or perched on rooftops, joining the bees' hum with occasional soft chirps. Everything seemed synchronized with the soft, steady rhythm, creating an atmosphere of calm observation and mindful stillness. Even small details held significance. A droplet of nectar glimmered on a petal, catching the sunlight for a fleeting moment before the bee moved on. A single leaf quivered in the breeze, intersecting briefly with the faint hum of wings. Every movement, sound, and shimmer existed in harmony, contributing to the hypnotic cadence of the day. Observers, children, adults, and animals alike absorbed the subtle harmony, feeling it settle deep into their senses, fostering quiet reflection and gentle awareness. The villagers continued their daily routines around this gentle backdrop. Mrs. Hamill stirred a pot on the stove, pausing occasionally to glance at the garden outside. Mr. Henley carried water slowly to the garden, hearing the hum as he moved. Even distant voices and footsteps were softened by the ambient vibration of bees, blending seamlessly into the hypnotic melody that filled the streets and squares. Every sound, no matter how slight, became a thread in the intricate, calming tapestry of the afternoon. By late afternoon, the bees began to slow, moving more leisurely as the day approached its evening rhythm. Their hum softened, blending even more with the subtle sounds of the village. The gentle ripple of the river, the faint creak of shutters, the soft padding of children and animals returning home. Life in the village continued to flow in gentle, deliberate motions, as if guided by the constant presence of these tiny, tireless creatures. And so, the gentle hum of bees filled the village air, a soothing, hypnotic companion to the slow progression of the day. Every wing beat, every dip into a flower, every soft vibration merged with the rhythm of footsteps, whispers, sunlight, and shade. The villagers, aware or unaware, absorbed this cadence, carrying it in their movements, their breaths, and their awareness. By mid-afternoon, the village had settled into a still, gentle quiet. Sunlight streamed through windows, filling rooms with warmth and soft illumination. The golden rays stretched across wooden floors and stone hearths, touching furniture and walls with a slow, measured glow. In this calm light, villagers found themselves drawn to rest, and the soft, peaceful ritual of afternoon naps began. In the Hamill household, Mrs. Hamill rested on a simple chaise near the window. The sunlight warmed her shoulders and arms as she leaned back, eyes closing slowly. The faint hum of bees outside and the subtle creak of the old wooden shutters provided a gentle backdrop to her breathing. Every exhale was long and calm, every heartbeat a steady rhythm matching the village's slow passage of time. In neighboring homes, others followed a similar pattern. Children curled up on small beds or cushioned benches, their faces relaxed and serene. Even Tobias and Clara, after wandering the distant fields and playing near the river, found small corners to lie down, letting the sunlight drift over them. Their breathing was slow, synchronized with the soft, rhythmic sounds of the afternoon, the river flowing gently in the distance, the faint whisper of wind through leaves, and the soft hum of bees moving from flower to flower. Pets joined in the quiet as well. Cats stretched and twisted on sunlit floorboards, their paws extended lazily, eyes half closed in the warmth. Dogs lay curled near hearths or rugs, their breathing steady and slow. Outside, birds perched quietly in sunlit branches, wings folded, heads tucked gently against their bodies. The entire village seemed to participate in this collective pause, each creature and human moving in harmony with the slow, sunlit rhythm. As the afternoon moved steadily toward evening, the gentle breeze stirred the village in its slow, deliberate way. Leaves on trees and shrubs trembled softly, brushing against one another in quiet rhythm. The sound was subtle, soothing, and steady, like a whisper traveling through the village, weaving through rooftops, cobblestones, and gardens. In the village square, the old oak tree stood tall, its branches moving just enough to let the sun dapple the cobblestones below. Children paused in their play to watch the leaves sway, their eyes tracing the slow, graceful arcs of each movement. Clara tilted her head back, listening carefully to the soft rustle, while Tobias crouched to examine the shadow patterns dancing across the ground. Even in motion, the sound of leaves seemed to guide every step, slowing it naturally, making each movement deliberate and measured. Mrs. Lowry leaned on her fence near the garden, inhaling the warm, fragrant air. The scent of grass, flowers, and faint earth mingled with the gentle whisper of leaves. She let her attention linger on the tiny, subtle movements of each branch, the slight tremble of each leaf catching the afternoon light. Every small sound added to the village's calm, a steady reminder of the unhurried rhythm that defined each day. Animals responded to the soft breeze as well. A cat stretched along a sunlit patch, ears flicking in time with the rustling leaves. Dogs paused mid-step, noses twitching to catch scents carried by the gentle wind. Birds perched high in trees moved their wings slightly, settling back as the branches swayed. Even the tiniest details, the flutter of a single leaf, the quiver of grass in the wind, became part of a tranquil, hypnotic pattern. The villagers moved carefully through this environment. Footsteps were light, conversations nearly silent, and every glance seemed slow, deliberate, attuned to the soft background of whispering leaves. Even chores were measured. Buckets of water were carried slowly, doors opened and closed with gentle precision, and hands moved mindfully over tools and utensils. Every sound and motion became part of the village's natural, comforting rhythm. Small pockets of sunlight shifted across the streets and gardens as the leaves danced. Shadows lengthened and twisted, tracing intricate patterns on cobblestones and walls. Clara reached out to touch a low-hanging branch, letting her fingers brush the leaves lightly. Tobias ran his hand across a fence, feeling the faint tremor of each leaf movement. Every interaction was quiet, careful, a soft acknowledgement of the subtle presence of wind and leaves. By mid-afternoon, the rustling of leaves had become almost melodic. The sound seemed to pulse gently with the villagers' breathing, merging with the distant hum of the river, the soft footfalls on cobblestones, and the faint creak of shutters. Even those who paused for only a moment were caught in this rhythm, their thoughts slowing, their attention turning inward, and their bodies relaxing into the hypnotic cadence of the day. As the sun began its slow descent, the wind softened, and the rustle of leaves grew even more delicate. The patterns of light and shadow shifted gradually, emphasizing the calm, unhurried pace of life. The village remained alive, yet every sound, every movement, every gentle sway contributed to a feeling of profound stillness. And so, the rustle of leaves in the breeze carried through the streets, gardens, and squares, wrapping the village in a soft, hypnotic embrace. Every gentle sound, every subtle motion, and every calm breath guided the villagers steadily toward evening and the comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. As the sun began its gradual descent, the village was bathed in soft, golden light, stretching long, gentle shadows across cobblestones and rooftops. The day's warmth lingered, but the air carried a hint of coolness, signaling the slow approach of evening. Nothing in the village rushed, the passing of time itself seemed deliberate, measured, and unhurried. The streets, once busy with soft footsteps and quiet voices, now seemed more empty, yet filled with subtle activity. Villagers moved with a calm, deliberate purpose, fetching water, closing shutters slowly, and pausing occasionally to observe the delicate dance of light and shadow. Even the children, having wandered through the fields and squares, returned to their homes with small, careful steps, their laughter fading into the steady rhythm of the evening. Mrs. Hamill leaned against her window, watching the warm light slip along the rooftops. She noticed how the sun traced the edges of chimneys and slanted tiles, creating patterns that shifted imperceptibly. The gentle movements of shadows across the streets reminded her of the village's pace, slow, deliberate, and attentive to every small detail. No one hurried, no one pressed forward. The entire village seemed to exhale together, settling into a soft, collective awareness of the approaching evening. In the square, the old oak tree cast an elongated shadow over the cobblestones. A few villagers paused beneath it, standing or sitting quietly, observing the subtle shifts of light across the ground. Birds perched on branches, calling softly in measured notes, and a cat stretched in a sunlit patch before curling up for a nap. Even the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze seemed slower, deliberate, in harmony with the fading warmth of the sun. The river nearby reflected the evening light in a muted shimmer. Villagers walking along its banks took slow, steady steps, their reflections stretching and blending with the water's gentle flow. Even animals participated in the tranquil rhythm. Dogs trotted lazily, cats padded softly, and birds moved their wings with quiet deliberation. The village seemed unified in the slow passage of time, each movement contributing to a shared awareness of calm and quiet. Small conversations, when they occurred, were brief and subdued. A soft, "good evening," or a gentle nod was enough. Words, like the shadows, lengthened and faded gradually, leaving space for reflection, observation, and appreciation of the surrounding calm. Every sound, every movement, every pause was absorbed by the village, reinforcing the hypnotic rhythm that carried it naturally toward the night. As the sun dipped lower, the village itself seemed to breathe slowly, stretching out after the long day. The warm light softened, shadows deepened, and the world felt cocooned in a gentle embrace. There was no hurry, no need to rush. The evening moved steadily, guiding everyone toward the familiar, comforting certainty that night and rest were approaching. And so, evening approached without hurry. Every street, garden, and home participated in the deliberate pace of the day's final hours. Villagers, children, and animals alike flowed naturally with the slowing rhythm of light, shadow, and gentle movement. And in this unhurried transition, they were quietly reminded that, as always, sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. The river nearby reflected the evening light in a muted shimmer. Villagers walking along its banks took slow, steady steps, their reflections stretching and blending with the water's gentle flow. Even animals participated in the tranquil rhythm. Dogs trotted lazily, cats padded softly, and birds moved their wings with quiet deliberation. Villagers moved quietly along the streets, their footsteps measured and deliberate. Each person seemed aware of the slow transformation of light and shadow, allowing themselves to adjust naturally to the approaching night. Mrs. Lowry lingered near her gate, observing the rooftops bathed in pale orange and lavender. She tilted her head to watch how the light shifted over chimneys and tiles, softening edges and elongating shadows, a subtle reminder of the day's gentle progression. The old oak tree in the square cast long, intricate shadows that merged with those of nearby houses. Beneath it, children had paused in their play, now seated on low benches or standing quietly, tracing the patterns of shadow with their eyes. The soft murmurs of the river in the distance, combined with the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze, formed a delicate soundtrack to the scene. Even small movements, the flutter of a curtain, the tilt of a flower, added to the hypnotic cadence of the evening. Lanterns and candles began to glow faintly in windows, their warm, steady light complementing the fading colors of dusk. The gentle illumination highlighted the subtle textures of doors, walls, and rooftops, creating soft, comforting contrasts between shadow and light. Every flicker, every glow, seemed perfectly timed, enhancing the village's serene, meditative atmosphere. Animals adjusted naturally to the changing light. Cats prowled silently along narrow alleyways, tails brushing the cobblestones. Dogs lay quietly near doorsteps, ears alert yet relaxed. Birds settled in branches, calling softly once or twice before tucking their heads and watching the sky darken. Even insects moved in quiet harmony with the slowing day, their tiny sounds barely noticeable against the greater stillness that had settled over the village. The villagers' movements slowed further as dusk deepened. Chores were completed carefully, with soft attention to detail, shutters closed gently, garden tools were returned to their places, and meals were fully cleared away. Conversations were almost non-existent, replaced by nods, soft smiles, and brief acknowledgments that carried warmth without breaking the silence. The village itself seemed to breathe, each home and street in tune with the tranquil rhythm of evening. Even the smallest details were observed with quiet appreciation. Dust motes drifted lazily in the last shafts of fading sunlight. Leaves swayed gently in the evening breeze. A stray feather drifted across the square, landing softly on the cobblestones. Every subtle motion, every tiny sound, contributed to the hypnotic, peaceful cadence of the village, reinforcing the sense that time itself had slowed, stretching moments into long, soft experiences of calm. As dusk deepened into early evening, the village was cocooned in a quiet, almost sacred calm. Every street, every home, every tree, and every villager seemed suspended in the gentle pause between day and night. The world felt both alive and motionless, filled with subtle rhythms that required no attention beyond observation and quiet presence. And so, dusk fell on the quiet streets, wrapping the village in a soft, peaceful embrace. Shadows deepened, lanterns glowed faintly, and the gentle sounds of life, breathing, movement, and whispering leaves, wove together into a hypnotic lullaby. Every motion, every breath, every fleeting sound led naturally toward the evening, toward the comforting, inevitable certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. As dusk deepened into early evening, the village was gently illuminated by the soft, flickering glow of lanterns on porches. Each small flame cast delicate pools of light onto the cobblestones, creating gentle, shifting patterns of gold and shadow. The movement of the flames was slow and rhythmic, swaying with the evening breeze and adding a subtle, hypnotic warmth to the quiet streets. Mrs. Hamill lit the lantern outside her door with careful, deliberate motions. The flame caught immediately, throwing a soft circle of light over the threshold. She paused to admire its gentle glow, feeling the warmth brush lightly against her hands. Across the street, Mr. Lowry tended to his own lantern, adjusting it so the light would not flicker too wildly, casting a calm glow over the steps and windowsill. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the tranquil rhythm of the evening. Children, having returned from their afternoon explorations, lingered near the porches to watch the tiny flames dance. Clara crouched on the steps, observing the light ripple across the cobblestones, while Tobias traced its reflections with his fingers, careful not to touch or disturb the fragile glow. Even their soft whispers seemed measured and deliberate, fading into the gentle ambience created by the flickering lanterns. The shadows cast by the lanterns shifted slowly across walls and benches, merging with the long, muted shadows of trees and rooftops. Each flicker highlighted subtle textures, the roughness of wood, the faint imperfections of stone, and the gentle sway of leaves in the soft evening breeze. These quiet, small details were noticed and appreciated, adding layers of calm to the hypnotic rhythm of village life. Animals moved cautiously among the pools of light. Cats slinked gracefully along the edges of shadows, pausing occasionally to watch a flickering reflection. Dogs padded quietly near their owners, their tails wagging in slow, measured arcs. Even birds, now settling for the night, flitted softly from branch to branch, adding faint, rhythmic notes to the gentle symphony of the evening. Inside the homes, lanterns cast their glow through windows, blending with the porch lights outside. Families moved slowly through rooms, finishing chores with careful attention, folding linens, washing dishes, and setting small tasks aside. The village seemed cocooned in a soft, protective calm, the lanterns acting as gentle guides through the transition from day to evening. Every movement, every small sound, and every quiet observation became part of the hypnotic cadence that defined life here. The lanterns also seemed to invite reflection. Villagers paused to breathe, to watch, to feel the warmth of the flame against the cool evening air. Conversations were minimal, soft nods, quiet greetings, and occasional brief phrases, all tempered by the gentle glow. Even those passing through the streets slowed instinctively, aware of the delicate balance of light, shadow, and calm that enveloped the village. By late evening, the lanterns flickered steadily, casting soft golden hues on porches, steps, and cobblestones. Their gentle, rhythmic movements mirrored the quiet breathing of the village itself. Each flicker became a tiny meditation, a reminder of the deliberate, slow pace that guided the day from sunrise to the approaching night. And so, as lanterns flickered on porches, the village embraced the evening in all its calm, quiet beauty. Shadows shifted, light danced gently, and every breath, step, and motion merged seamlessly into the hypnotic rhythm of the day. As evening settled fully over the village, families began to gather around tables for their quiet, end-of-day meals. The soft glow of lanterns on porches and through windows bathed each home in gentle light, creating a warm, comforting atmosphere. There was no rush, no clatter, only the measured, deliberate movements of hands, utensils, and breath. In the Hamill household, Mrs. Hamill moved slowly, placing bowls and plates on the table with careful attention. Each item was set gently, without noise, as if even the slightest disturbance might break the calm that filled the room. Tobias and Clara found their places, sliding chairs forward with quiet care. Their small movements echoed the rhythm of the village itself, slow, deliberate, and unhurried. Across the street, the lorries followed the same unhurried pattern. Mr. Lowry poured soup into bowls, the liquid shimmering in the lamplight, and Eliza folded napkins with careful precision. The children's small chatter was soft, punctuated by pauses to listen to the subtle sounds of the evening, the faint hum of bees lingering near late blossoms, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the distant murmur of the river flowing lazily through the village. Pets participated in the calm scene as well. Cats curled near the hearth or on sun-warmed floors, purring softly in response to the quiet, steady rhythm. Dogs rested near their owners' feet, tails swishing ever so slightly in measured movements. The presence of animals seemed to enhance the serenity, their gentle breathing and soft movements blending seamlessly into the peaceful flow of the household. The aroma of evening meals added another layer of calm. Stews and breads carried subtle scents through the rooms, mingling with the warmth of the lanterns and the fading light. Villagers moved deliberately to serve, taste, and pass dishes, their motions conscious and unhurried. Even the clink of a spoon or the gentle scraping of a knife against a plate became part of the soft symphony of evening, adding texture without breaking the hypnotic stillness. Outside the homes, the village remained quiet. Cobblestone streets glimmered faintly in the lamplight, shadows deepened, and the flicker of lanterns reflected softly on walls and rooftops. The rhythmic breathing of the village, human and animal alike, merged with the subtle movement of leaves and the distant hum of life, creating a sense of gentle continuity. Families, gathering softly around tables, became the heart of this tranquil world, connected to the village's unhurried pulse. Even the smallest details held significance in these moments. A napkin shifted slightly under a child's hand, a spoon moved slowly across a bowl, and the soft sigh of contentment after a first bite filled the room. Every motion was deliberate, every glance attentive, every gesture careful, reinforcing the hypnotic rhythm that governed life from morning to evening. As the meal continued, conversation was minimal. Words were quiet, measured, and brief, allowing space for reflection and calm observation. Villagers noticed the subtle interplay of light and shadow across the table, the gentle rise and fall of each other's breath, and the small, comforting sounds of daily life. Every action, no matter how minor, contributed to the steady, serene cadence of the evening. And so, families gathered softly around tables, sharing meals in deliberate quiet, each movement in harmony with the village's hypnotic rhythm. The soft light, measured actions, and gentle awareness of one another created an atmosphere of peace, guiding the day naturally toward night. As always, the village moved together toward the familiar, comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. After the evening meal, the village settled into a gentle calm. Families remained near their tables or moved quietly into sitting rooms, where soft cushions and flickering lanterns created cozy spaces. It was in these tranquil moments that stories were told, not in loud voices, but in soft, deliberate whispers, each word carefully measured to preserve the serenity of the night. Clara curled against the edge of a chair, listening intently as her grandmother spoke. Each word was slow, weighted with calm, floating through the room like a warm breeze. Tobias sat nearby, eyes half closed, letting the cadence of her voice carry him gently through the unfolding tale. The story did not rush, it unfolded steadily, each scene and character given time to breathe, as if the imagination itself had to move slowly in order to match the rhythm of the evening. Across the village, similar scenes took place in countless homes. Parents leaned back in chairs, speaking quietly to their children, sharing memories, fables, or simple observations from the day. The soft tones were like a lullaby for the mind, each sentence deliberate, each pause considered, every story a gentle nudge toward reflection and relaxation. Even pets seemed to respond, cats curled tighter, dogs rested their heads on paws, all absorbed in the slow unfolding of whispered tales. The room was filled with subtle sounds. The soft rustle of pages, the faint crackle of a lantern wick, the distant hum of the river outside, all blended seamlessly with the quiet voices. Occasionally, a branch outside brushed against a window, or a leaf drifted across the square, barely audible. Each small sound became part of the hypnotic rhythm, adding depth and texture to the storytelling without disturbing the tranquility. Even the stories themselves were unhurried. Long pauses allowed listeners to picture the scenes, to notice the subtle details, and to let the narrative unfold slowly in their minds. Emotions were gentle, events carefully described, and every character moved in a measured, thoughtful way. The whispering voice, the soft ambient sounds, and the slow pace of imagination worked together to create a serene, dreamlike atmosphere. Outside, the village streets had grown quiet. Lanterns flickered faintly on porches, casting elongated shadows over cobblestones. The hum of bees had faded, leaves barely stirred in the evening breeze, and animals rested in their accustomed places. The whispered stories inside homes mirrored this calm, unhurried, comforting, and perfectly aligned with the natural rhythm of nightfall. Parents and grandparents often lingered in the pauses between sentences, letting the gentle silence deepen the sense of peace. Children, though engaged in listening, felt their own bodies relax, their breaths slow, and their minds soften to the hypnotic cadence of the evening. Even the act of imagining the story's events became a slow, deliberate meditation, drawing every listener deeper into quiet awareness. By the time the last sentence was spoken, the village seemed cocooned in a soft, shared calm. The flicker of lanterns, the gentle hush of leaves, and the measured breathing of sleepers and listeners alike blended into a single, soothing rhythm. Every whispered story had become part of the evening's slow progression, carrying the village naturally toward night and the comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock. And so, stories told in whispered tones became more than entertainment. They were a gentle ritual, a conduit for calm, a soft lullaby for minds and hearts alike. In their quiet, measured pace, they reminded every villager that the world could move slowly, peacefully, and harmoniously, flowing gently into the night. As twilight deepened over the village, the soft ticking of the old clock in the central tower became a quiet anchor for the evening. Each deliberate tick echoed gently across rooftops and streets, blending seamlessly with the muted sounds of lanterns flickering, leaves rustling, and distant water rippling. The rhythm was steady, unwavering, and comforting, a reminder of the slow, deliberate pace that defined life in the village. Villagers paused in their evening routines to notice the clock's calm cadence. Mrs. Lowry leaned against her window, listening as each tick stretched softly into the air, marking time without hurry. Tobias and Clara, finishing their whispered stories, felt the quiet pulse settle into their chests, their breathing naturally aligning with the gentle heartbeat of the clock. Every second passed slowly, deliberately, without urgency, creating a perfect harmony between the day's last moments and the approaching night. Inside homes, the clock's ticking mingled with faint household sounds, a lantern wick flickering, soft footsteps across floorboards, and the occasional creak of chairs adjusting. Each sound was small, measured, and absorbed fully into the calm rhythm of the evening. Even chores, completed with careful attention, seemed to follow the clock's steady cadence, dishes washed slowly, tables cleared without clatter, and small tasks concluded with deliberate, gentle movements. Outside, the square lay in serene stillness. Shadows lengthened further as lanterns cast pools of warm light onto the cobblestones. Cats stretched and yawned, curling in the glow of the lanterns. Dogs rested near doorsteps, their breathing slow and even. Birds had retreated to quiet branches, settling in for the night. Every living thing seemed aware of the clock's steady rhythm, moving, or pausing, in harmony with its calm ticking. Even small details drew attention in the presence of the clock. A single leaf shifted slowly in the evening breeze. Dust motes floated lazily in shafts of lantern light. Faint reflections of firelight shimmered across window panes and rooftops. Every subtle motion became part of the hypnotic cadence established by the steady tick-tock, reinforcing the village's sense of patience, mindfulness, and gentle awareness. Villagers often found themselves pausing in thought, listening more intently to the deliberate passage of time. Conversations slowed to whispers, children's eyes softened with calm, and even pets seemed to breathe more evenly. The ticking of the clock was more than a measure of hours, it was a steady lullaby, guiding every inhabitant toward stillness, reflection, and the quiet joy of being present in the moment. As twilight merged with early night, the clock's presence became a comforting constant. Every tick and tock reminded the villagers that time need not be hurried, that each moment was meant to be experienced fully, with calm awareness. The rhythm guided the village naturally toward the last hours before bed, preparing hearts and minds for rest without any need for urgency or noise. And so, the village clock ticked calmly, its measured cadence threading through homes, streets, and gardens. Every heartbeat of the village, from children resting, families gathered, to animals slumbering, fell in line with the soft, steady pulse of time itself. In its slow, deliberate rhythm, the clock carried everyone toward the familiar, comforting certainty that sleep would arrive at exactly 9 o'clock.